Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks, and I'm the lead beat writer for Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I am so grateful to be joining in with you again today. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and we are now just over 6 weeks away from the Arizona State football season kicking off. Just over 5 weeks away from the college football season kicking off in totality with week 0, and we obviously get a Big 12 matchup that week as well, with Iowa State getting pitted up against Kansas State, two purported Big 12 candidates, Big 12 championship candidates. Uh, Arizona State obviously opens on August 30th against Northern Arizona, and that the Arizona State Sun Devil season could not be coming with much more anticipation than it is right now. The Sun Devils have a very, very hopeful outlook. 17 returning starting players, every single coach returning from last season, and just the deepest, most talented, and most balanced roster that we've seen in Tempe in many years. And I'm so excited to cover the team, so excited to be boots on the ground and give you the best Arizona State content I possibly can. Before we start today's show, in full fledged, please follow me on X/Twitter at khicks_21. Also, if you get a chance to, please follow Arizona State Sun Devils on SI on Facebook. And thank you so much for all of your support. And let's get started. So today I wanted to talk about. We were talking about a little bit about the roster that Arizona State has going into the season. The 17 returning starters are a large chunk of the focus, as we know. Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, Xavier Alford, CJ Fight, Keyshawn Elliott. There are a lot of, even Ben Coleman, there are a lot of high quality Arizona State athletes that are returning for another season. And that's great and all, but there are also a lot of players that are outgoing that need to be replaced. Shamari Simmons out of Nickelback, Cam Skattebo, as we all know, the Heisman Trophy candidate, is now off to the NFL, and that leaves a huge hole in the Arizona State offense that's going to need to be filled. The wide receiver room wasn't that great last season behind Jordan Tyson. We just have to be honest with ourselves about that. There's not a lot to uh, pick at overall, but there are things that always can be improved upon. And Kenny Dillingham, Jason Mons, uh, Sean Aguano, Hines Ward, all of the position coaches have done a phenomenal job of recruiting players via the transfer portal, as we've seen dating back to the beginning of the Dillingham era in November of 2022. So today we want to look at the 5 players that came into Arizona State from other programs that could have the most impact when it comes to winning in the 2025 season. So first off, this one should be simple. Kanye Udo, coming in from Army, over 1,100 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns a season ago at Army in the triple option offense. He only got 179 carries, so he was far from a workhorse. Obviously, the Army offense doesn't really lend for that flexibility anyways, but he probably won't be a workhorse in the Arizona State offense either, but he could be a back that is very, very efficient and has a very, very strong junior season. There's not a lot of debate around that. He has the talent. He could improve as a pass catcher. There's little doubt in anyone's mind that he will step in and be great. He might not be Cam Skattebo, but that's totally okay. They don't need a Cam Skattebo this season. The offense looks like it'll be phenomenal no matter what way you cut it. You obviously have to play the games on the field, but everything is pointing towards the offense being even better this year than last year. So this one is an underrated one. Jesus Gomez, kicker from Eastern Michigan, transferring to Tempe and giving Arizona State their first reliable kicker since Christian Zendejas. We all know last year Hershey and everybody else were up and down as kickers. There wasn't a lot of stability. You didn't really feel good about kicking a field goal north of 35 yards, but Jesus Gomez is a very, very reliable kicker. As Arizona State fans saw in the loss to Eastern Michigan nearly 3 years ago, he was the starting kicker on that day, and he made 3 field goals that proved to be the difference in the game and resulted in Herm Edwards getting fired. So, already a strong impression that has been left amongst the Arizona State fan base. Let's see if he can make a mark on Tempe in 2025 and give the Sun Devils even more opportunities to put points on the board. So Himito Obigbo, offensive lineman, another player that Arizona State got to look at. He was the Texas State starting offensive lineman last season, and he's looking to fill the only vacant spot on the offensive line when it comes to starting players. He should fill one of the 2 guard spots. Should contribute to what is one of the best offensive lines in the entire Big 12. And that is going to be vitally important to protect Sam Levitt, to create holes for Kanye Udo, Kyson Brown, and Raleek Brown, and do all the dirty work that they don't really get the recognition they deserve for. So there's a lot to be excited about there. Next, Jalen Moss, wide receiver out of Fresno State. So, as anyone who's seen the show knows, I am a big fan of Jaron Hamilton. I really believe that he could be a pseudo version of Jameson Williams in the Arizona State offense, just as a vertical field stretcher, a burner, a all-around playmaker that can change games with one play. But Jalen Moss, I'm going with him just because he has more of a proven track record. He accumulated over 1,100 yards in his 2 seasons at Fresno State. Very, very reliable possession receiver. Great at picking up 50-50 balls. Great at ball tracking. Pretty solid route runner. There's a lot to love about Jalen Moss's game, and it feels like he'll be a security blanket for Sam Levitt alongside Shimon Mateer, the returning senior tight end. So the wide receiver room should be in a much better state this season than it was last season. That should be the expectation, and we shouldn't look for anything less if you are an Arizona State fan. And lastly today, Kendrick Breedlove. It looks like he's going to slot in at nickel and be the replacement for Shamari Simmons. Shamari Simmons was an integral part of the defense last season. Sun Devil fans saw how the defense was impacted in the first half of the Texas game that he was suspended for due to a targeted call in the Big 12 title game. And Breedlove, 3 interceptions last season at Purdue. He was one of the bright spots on a team that just wasn't very good. Nyland Green could be another worthy addition right here. The former 5-star is obviously still talented. His college career hasn't gone the way that it was expected to go. But in an Arizona State defense that is predicated on communication, internal development, and camaraderie, ball hawking, all that stuff, feels like Nyland really can find his niche in Tempe under Brian Carrington and Brian Ward, respectively. And he could really make some plays in key moments this year. I really do believe that Nyland Green could be a secret weapon for Arizona State, so he is absolutely worth mentioning. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Please follow me on X/Twitter at khicks_21 if you get an opportunity to do so one last time. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you tomorrow.